Are you good with this? Are you excited about this?
Absolutely. I will talk about anything. Let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Truth Be Told, where, honestly, it's in the name.
What's up, people? What's up, Nick?
Hey, how are you? What is happening, everyone? How we doing? Huh? We good?
Yeah.
It's Monday night. I think you all know what that means. That means it is time for another edition of Truth Be Told. That's right. We're coming to you again live on a Monday. Start of the week. Everybody's, probably getting going. Maybe you're a little tired. You're for the weekend, too much party. But Sean and I are always here to just cheer you up, give you a smile, share our perspective, and all that good stuff. And myself, I just came from work, so I had a nice long day at the old office, as it were. So, speaking of being at work, funny enough, that's our topic today. Sean and I are going to talk about jobs. Today's, we thought it would be an interesting subject to cover. We've all been employed at some point doing something, and being our ages, Sean and I have done a lot of different things in our lives, so we thought we'd get into a little bit of that. So to get us going, as it were, we're going to talk about the very first job that we ever had. So, Sean, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you, my friend. Very first job, what'd you do?
I think it was my dad was on the board of directors at a bunch of nursing homes, and I worked up there. I didn't do much. I didn't do bedpans, and I didn't do like seriously intense stuff. But I played games with them. I was still in like middle school.
You're the activities director?
Well, no, I just went in, like, played with individuals, like, went over and maybe answered calls, just, hey, welcome, that type of stuff. But, it wasn't anything, it wasn't hands-on, and, Pops was kind of in charge, so people really they didn't cater to me, but they were just like, well, go ahead, go sit over here, go do this. It wasn't like a, and I don't know that I got any money from that.
A volunteer job. There you go. Yeah.
So it was. I think I was coerced into doing it and saying it was under the guise of getting money.
Right. Sure.
But I definitely did not get any money from that. So that was my first one. That was a interesting one. It kind of kept me out of a certain field. So.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, the very first job I had at the tender old age of 16. When here in Illinois, you are legal to work. Maybe a nationwide thing, I don't remember. But the old 16 years old, I got a job for the summer of 89 at White Castle. I learned all the ins and outs of flipping burgers and cleaning grills with pickle juice and running a cash register and all that other fun stuff you do at a fast food restaurant. But, back then, you were just, at 16, I was just happy to have some money. At that point, the minimum wage was $3.35 an hour here in Chicago. So I probably walked away with about $90 a week back then. But for a 16-year-old kid who had no bills but had a girlfriend, it was the greatest thing in the world because I always had money, at least for that summer anyways.
That's true.
So, learned the tricks of the trip. And again, that's actually where I learned that you can actually clean a grill with pickle juice. It cleans it pretty well, actually. So that was one trick I took away from the old White Castle there. But, I only worked the summer. So by the time school started, I had already quit the job. I was done. But, so that was the very first job that I had. All right. Well, thank you to Johnny Dean, who is watching us currently. Thank you, Johnny, for tuning in. We do appreciate that. And again, of course, if anybody is in there and would like to comment, maybe you want to let us know what your first job was, that sort of thing. We always welcome the interaction from our fellow watchers. So with that being said, let's move on kind of to the next one, which this one we're going to go with weirdest job that we had. Sometimes you just take a job because you need one, or maybe it was just something that popped up and you went, I'll give it a shot, that sort of thing. So I guess I'll go first on this one with weirdest job. Just for me, it's weirdest job. I was one of those guys who could get phone jobs really easily because every time they're like, "Oh, you have a really good voice. You should do," phone sales was like the thing back when I was out of high school, right? So it was like, all right, I'll try this, but you don't get too many people. I set up appointments for people to buy like solar window panels. So like my job was to call people on the phone and try to sell them on the fact that they should make an appointment for solar windows. And to me, that was just weird. Like, I mean, I took the job at the time because I really needed it. And then once I got into it, I was like, I don't know that I can do. I mean, it's one of those things where like any phone job or any sales job, I feel like you really got to be behind the product to sell it. And I knew nothing about thermal pane windows or solar windows or any of this stuff. And I'm just like blindly going, "Hi, Nick Rosario calling from blah, blah, whatever the company was, blah, blah. How are your windows holding up?" But, whatever the script was. And most of the time people just went, "Yeah, not interested." Click. You got a lot of that.
Yep.
I think I maybe set like a handful of appointments. I only worked there for about a month. And I maybe, like I said, maybe set up 4 or 5 appointments. So not a great experience in terms of job for me, but definitely probably one of the weirdest things I did in my work history. How about you, Mr. Sean? Any weird jobs in your past there?
I think something similar to that. I sold vacuum cleaners. Didn't last very long. I didn't take rejection very well, and I would get a lot of those clicks. Or I get worse. I get somebody asking me to explain it, and I'm like, dude. And that's another thing. I didn't have the product. So I'm just sitting here explaining. They caught me off with, at that time, it's like $20 an hour to work here, something like that. So I'm like, oh, word, yeah, I'll do this, not knowing what I would be doing. So, that's where we're at. I mean, it was what it was. I never lasted long enough, but it was a job that I could say I had, So
what you're saying is you sucked.
Yeah, it was terrible. Yep. Wasn't great.
He said wasn't great. Mr. Fingers, you were a karaoke host for 18 years. Well, yes, you were, sir. That is correct. And was that your first job, though? Is that what you were doing there, Mr. Handy, out of college or something? For those of you Mr. Handy is a fraternity man. I got to be honest, I apologize for not remembering the name of said fraternity. But thank you, Handy, for Mr. Fingers, for checking in with us, letting us know about your karaoke gig for 18 years. That was most definitely an odd job. Oh, because you met some odd people. Well, you know us too, so add 2 more to the list, right? We're all a little odd in some way, aren't we, Mr. Fingers? All right. We all have our issues, my friend. Isn't that what makes us great? All righty. Well, let us move on. Again, not to move too quickly here, but again, appreciate anybody. Let me get the quick some shout outs here. Johnny says his first job was as a lifeguard. Now, and that's a great job, John. Obviously, you're a good swimmer then if you're a lifeguard. But I think one of the funnier ones, not funny, but it says that Johnny was also a janitor at Disney. Johnny, I may have to ask you about that sometime, about being a janitor at Disneyland, because I can only imagine you've had to clean up puke, pee, all that other stuff that happens when kids go to an amusement park, right? It's probably bathrooms probably don't look spectacular when they're done and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely one of those jobs that fits into the category of crazy. You hated working the fry station, all that popping. Yeah. So Andy put down that his first job was at Burger King, home of the Whopper there. So that's and believe me, I understand, Andy, because Sean, I don't know if you have per se, but I worked at just about every major fast food restaurant at one point or another throughout my. I mean, literally, I did a stint at McDonald's, I did a stint at Burger King, I did a stint at Hardee's. I did a year and a half at Wendy's. White Castle was the first job. I think the only place I didn't work was Taco Bell. Like, I worked everywhere else pretty much in the fast food genre. And he's been working well, yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing, too, maybe real quickly in terms of that, Anthony, like you said, I started working at 16, and I pretty much only took a year and a half off to finish high school, and I went right back to work. So I've been in the workforce about 33 years. Sean, how about you? You pretty much worked steadily since you were a teenager?
Yeah, I'll go. I think 18 is where I really started going hard. Now, I did that first job I worked. I was 13, 14, but it wasn't a full, like, I didn't have to sign the W-2s and all that type of stuff. So it wasn't technically official job, but it was the first one where structured, where I had to be there for 8 hours and things of that nature. But for the most part, I think about 20 years, because I started right after my senior year in high school.
Oh, okay.
So
no, sure. Yeah, see, it's again, because I tell you, kids, once you start working, you probably aren't going to stop. So just know that when you're starting out, that's going to be forever. Manage a video arcade. Well, see, that falls under the category, I think, of an interesting or favorite job, right? We're managing a video arcade. Nothing wrong with that. Night janitor for a movie theater. There you go. People are popping up everywhere. I love it. Well, speaking of that, right, we're going to get next to our weirdest job. Sean, we'll go ahead and start with you. Weirdest job you've ever had?
I was the dishwasher guy at what was it, Applebee's.
Oh, right.
It was weirdly satisfying. It was interesting because everything was going on around you, and you just had people running in and out of the kitchen, dishes thrown anywhere. But I had my headphones. I was in my zone. You know what I mean? I had my gloves, so it didn't get too hot. I had a little compressor, set it through, take it out. I had my whole routine and everything. And actually, unfortunately, which wouldn't be unfortunate to most people, for me it was unfortunate, I got promoted from that job to do on the go orders, which I didn't like at all because I actually had to deal with people. I actually enjoyed more being on the dishwasher, but it was weird because I was kind of secluded out there, and it was like you when you were working in the back. We'll talk about that later. Where like at Wrigley, like you're not you can see things, you can step out and look around the corner and see all the things going on, but you're so close but so far away because you're sitting in the back and you're so focused on.
Yeah, pretty much. That's true. No, that's true. But I dishwashed for one night. Like, not a lie. I got a job and I hated it. I was like, I don't know, was I 8, 7? You know what? It might have been right around. Actually, now that I mentioned that, I think I was about 17 because my girlfriend was the phone girl there, and she's like, "Oh, we need a dishwasher if you want to." So one night at an Italian restaurant of all places.
Yeah.
So everything was caked on. You had cheese, sauce, whatever. I'm trying to wash these dishes, bro, and I'm just like, this has got to be one of the, just like, oh man, I hated it so much, and I think honestly, like, it wasn't so much that I quit, but I think I was really, to be honest, like, I just wasn't fast enough for them because the guy was like, at the end of the night, he was like, "Oh yeah, no, we pay out every night when you work, bro." He's like, "Don't worry about it." He's like, "I got you." And he gave me like $40-$50, whatever it was, and I went on my merry way. And I never went back because it's pretty much what happened. So I was like, I got paid for my one night and I was out of there. So yeah, not so much weird, but like just washing dishes it definitely takes a little bit of skill because you got to be able to do that. You got to be able to stand on your feet that whole time and make sure you're, up to your elbows and soap and grease and all that stuff. No dishwasher. When you're the dishwasher, man, it's kind of one of those jobs you just go, all right. But I don't know if that felt, like I said, weirdest. I sold it, and I did this in person. So this was it was probably weird for me because, again, I've always been kind of a chubby guy. And I was about, I think, 20 years old. No, a little before. So I was 19. This was 19. I sold gym memberships in person. So I find it weird because here's the thing. When you're looking at me, you're not thinking this guy goes to the gym. But here I am trying to sell people gym memberships.
But
well, what I came to find out is the guy that I was working for was actually a scam. His boss had put him in charge to come to Chicago to try to drum up business, and he kind of went into business for himself and hired a few people to sell these memberships, but he wasn't supposed to. I didn't find that out till later because I never got a paycheck from him. When it was time to get paid, oh boy, wasn't around. I got shafted. But it was just funny to kind of see people look at me kind of like, you're selling gym memberships? It's just one of those things where you just go, I would have never pictured that. And I'm trying to make money. I answered an ad in the paper, So, it was just one of those, it was really bizarre. I never got paid for that. It only lasted, I think, a week because, again, when it came time to get paid the next week, oh boy, wasn't around. Yeah. So that was just like, okay, then never mind. So, that was a little bizarre to try to sell gym memberships to people, and they looked at me going, yeah, you don't go to the gym, do you? So, probably working as the analyst or the urologist attendant for the Fort Bevan Medical System. Okay.
Belvoir, yeah.
Belvoir, yeah, that's interesting. Right. Urinalysis attendant. Do I want to know what you had to do for that, Handy? Do we want to get into that? I don't know. That could be Johnny D. This is interesting. Johnny D says training people in Panama that couldn't speak the language to run equipment. Now I've run into this. I've worked in a few back of houses in in restaurants and at a few places, and the language barrier is a serious thing, man. When you can't communicate with someone, it's tough. Trying to get your point across or trying to just in that regard, I sympathize with you there, Johnny Dean, because that's not an easy thing to do, that's for sure. Because I've definitely had the language barrier thing happen to me a few times. But let's move on a little bit. Again, we want to thank everyone who's tuning in there. Obviously, Mr. Fingers, Johnny Dean's in the house. Anybody else who might, I'm sorry, I can't see everyone who's in there. But again, thank you for watching. Really do appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit about favorite job. Let's go with that, because that's always kind of a good one. Everybody has their thing that they truly like. Sean, we'll go ahead and we'll start with you on favorite job.
My freshman year, or no, my senior year in high school, the Washington Redskin training camp, and like the mini camp, all that stuff. Well, the whole facility opened in Ashburn. Ashburn is about 15 minutes from where I went to high school and all that stuff. So I actually was able to go and work there, and I worked for like I just did a little bit of parking attendant stuff. Was able to do like the fan play, where they run like the 40-yard dash, or they strap something on and they got to try to dig, get as far as they can before it takes them back. Field goal kicker, that type of stuff. So it was cool. The only thing that stunk is it was a strict policy that we couldn't go and like talk to any of the players or do anything.
Right.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, it was real. It was actually a really cool experience just being able to be there. So, I mean, that was definitely one of my favorites. I mean, that's probably my favorite, to be honest.
Okay. No, believe me, when you do so many things, like you said, karaoke, hands down, right? Mr. Fingers, definitely, if you ever heard the man sing, he's got a nice voice there. So I could see the karaoke DJ thing being a pretty lucrative thing for you, my friend. Favorite jobs. One that sticks out only because it's the first professional show that I ever worked on out of high school. It was a theater company here called the Pegasus Players here in Chicago, and they were doing a Duke Ellington musical called Jump for Joy. And my buddy Billy was actually the follow spot operator on the show, but he was leaving, and they needed to find a replacement for him. And for whatever reason, he asked me if I'd be interested in doing it. So I went there and met with everyone, and before I do it, I was hired. Doing 7 shows a week or whatever it was, 6 shows, whatever it was. We were like Tuesday through Sunday. But to actually work in a professional theater setting, like, was the biggest, at that point, one of the biggest thrills of my life, because I was only 19 and I wanted to be like a stage actor. So, like, being able to just be a part of that and be part of the show, run the follow spotlight for the actors was pretty cool, because back then it was manually. It wasn't controlled by a board or anything. It was me turning the light this way, that way, up, down. I'm doing the whole thing, getting the workout, sweating at the end of every show, making sure I didn't miss a cue or something. So that was probably one of my favorite jobs, just being that atmosphere. But I think, outside of my current job, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, I worked at a movie theater for 3 years. Now, I will say that to me, there was nothing better, because I loved movies and I got to see them for free as an employee of the movie theater. So anytime I had a day off, or sometimes I'd literally, if I had nothing to do that day, I'd come in early and watch a movie before my shift. Or if I worked a day shift, I'd watch a movie after my shift. Like, I didn't care. I was like, free movies, I'm in. So that was probably one of my, you just meet so many people. You just do so many different things. It's just, I truly enjoyed working at the movie theater. That's probably definitely one of my favorite jobs. But we also heard from Johnny Dean again, Scott Thaler. Scott was a letter carrier for 20 years, which I've known a few mail carriers in my day, and that really is a tough job when you're on your feet for 6 hours a day, walking around just delivering people's mail. So that's one of those that a lot of respect there, Scott. Maybe that's why you're in pretty good shape now for being an older fellow, huh? Got your exercise in when you were younger. Not a bad thing to do, my friend. But yeah, so let's go. We also got another comment here from Ben. We want to thank Ben and Delilah for tuning in. Ben Cornett, Delilah Crespo, thank you so much. Truth be told, we appreciate you guys. Appreciate that more than you guys know, because Sean, like I said, this started as just an idea, and we decided, yep, we're going to run with it. So here we are, but 6 weeks later now, just trying to find our footing and entertain you and be as truthful and as honest as possible. So thank you guys seriously for tuning in. Absolutely appreciate that. Let's move on to kind of what we do now, because as you know, Sean and I do. Our goal one day is to do this as a full-time job, which that could be then our. Oh yeah, we were going to talk about that worst job that we've ever had, and I guess I've had a few. Again, the weirdest was probably the phone thing, but I probably have to say the worst job. And I know this is going to sound kind of goofy, just because you're thinking, well, that couldn't have been too bad. One winter, I was not employed, and I went to a temp agency. And the temp agency is like, yeah, we have an assignment for you. You're going to go work in this warehouse. I was like, okay, great. I'm going to work in a warehouse. All I did, because to me, I just thought for 9 hours a day, all I did was take these little figurines and put them in boxes and then send them down the line. 9 hours a day, just standing there, taking these little figurines and putting them in a box and slide it down the belt. And put another one in, slide it down the belt. Put it in, slide it down the belt. Now, luckily, this was only a seasonal job. I did it for like end of November through December because it was Christmas time. But for me, that was just one of the worst things, because I'm just literally 9 hours a day just putting little figurines in boxes and then sending it on down the conveyor belt to the next person, who then put them in the actual box, the bigger boxes to send them out. Yeah, that was just one of those things. I'm like, yeah, I appreciated it. I had no money at the time, so working a temp job was the solution, but I didn't draw the greatest assignment there. But yeah. How about you, Sean? What's probably one of the worst things you've done job-wise?
I've worked in a lot of maintenance positions, maintenance jobs. I've worked places place around here called Reston Association, where we would have to go like on the trails and just make sure like no trees are knocked down, make sure the trash cans are not filled, that type of thing, switch stuff out. Yeah. So and also obviously on the trails it was very heavily cater to people walking their dogs, and nobody liked to put the dog crap in the bag and then put it in the trash can. Some people could put it in the bag, and they'll leave it on the ground. Some people will just leave it there. It's just not good, especially because after the time, you don't know how long it's been there, but you can tell how long it's been there by the certain number of flies that are on it.
Yeah.
You know, if they've had time to get into it. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, you know, gloves, you know.
Right.
So I've done a lot of that in my life, working with clogged toilets, working with overflows, working with, you know, vomit. It's they're never pleasant. They're never ever pleasant because no matter how much you wash, you just always have some scent, that smell and stench on you. It's rough.
Yeah, that doesn't go away. Like you think it does, or you think of it, but you can still, it's like you still smell it. It's so bad that you could just smell that, you know, still out. You're like, oh, that's terrible. Working in, like I said, fast food, man. Sometimes people would throw up in the bathroom, and I'd draw the short straw and have to go clean it up or something. You're just like, oh, I can't do this, man. That's horrible. But yeah, that's some stuff there. Let's move on, though. Like I said, we were going to talk about what we currently do. Because Sean and I both obviously are currently employed. That's how we support ourselves in this, you know, our daily lives. But Sean, we'll start with you. Go ahead and give us what are you currently doing, Sean?
Right now, I work in the mornings. I work with a company called Community Systems. I work with adults with mental disabilities. We take them out, get them acclimated into society. Try to take them out different things, talk to different people. And just kind of give them a semblance of a normal life. And then after that, I come over to where most times, you know, I'm at when I'm on these shows. Over here at the church, I work in maintenance. So I do some of the cleaning, some of the, you know, upkeep, take things down, put things up together. And sometimes I just have to be here because I have the keys to the church and I know some of the security codes and whatnot. So I'm here to the last person leaves. So that's why it works when I do the shows, because then as soon as I do the show, normally by that time everybody's out and I can go ahead and get into it.
Oh, there you go. That works out really nicely then. Currently, some of you may know, again, from watching the programs and that sort of thing. Oh, thank Janae Struther for tuning in. Thank you, Janae. Appreciate that as always. Hope you're doing well with your new baby. Well, she's not new anymore, but you know, Janae had a baby. Her and her wife had a baby last year, so that's awesome. Hope everyone is doing well there. Currently, I am employed at Wrigley Field, and what the job I had when the year started, I was a commissary supervisor, which meant I worked in the room where the seat vendors would come and get their product and go sell it out to the people in the seats. Specifically, I had hot dogs, ices, lemon chills, some frozen drinks, and also that my room was also responsible for the popcorn production, for bagging that up and sending it out. So, but as fortune would have it, your boy got into a different position. I was able to make a transfer. It is a promotion, I feel, because I get more money and I get more hours. But I currently now work in the warehouse of the ballpark. So I'm down in the basement number 2. So I'm way down underground, getting liquor orders together. Because as you know, Wrigley Field is known for their bars and the beer and all that good stuff. People like to drink during a ball game. And so getting out liquor orders in the morning and then taking other orders over the phone during the game if anybody needs something. So really happy that happened. I mean, like I said, it's I worked at Wrigley twice, actually. The first time I was there was 1999 to 2010. And then I came back in 2018. And like I said, now in my 5th year back, we missed the 1 year due to COVID. But I did on my 5th year back now. I've actually gotten promoted, so I'm very happy about that. I'm in the warehouse now. So that should definitely be something that I will continue to enjoy as we go along. Again, Johnny Deed said he ran a honey dipper truck for 2 years. That's a Steve. What's that? That was for the worst. A honey dipper. Okay. And Scott Thaler sold answering machines in the 70s. So there you go. And what is a benefits coordinator for Paycom. Yes. So, well, that's important, though. People need their benefits, Mr. Fingers. You got to make sure people are getting what they deserve, getting what they need to live, all that good stuff. And apparently, a piece of advice for Sean from Scott Taylor is that Sean should take the postal exam. Sean, could you see yourself delivering mail every day? Sean, could you do that?
No, I don't think so.
Because you
gotta drive too slow all day.
No. Doing your 10 miles an hour down the street in your little postal buggy. That is funny. No, can't do it. That's not good. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you all for watching. We really do appreciate it. Again, Sean and I very grateful that you guys are tuning in. Truth be told, we air on Mondays, usually around 7 o'clock Central, so that's 8 Eastern for all you people out in the East Coast, and 6 o'clock for all you people out on the West Coast. So thank you again for watching. We really do appreciate it. And also tonight you can catch Ben Cornett in the Face the Heels program. That's 9 p.m. Central, 10 Eastern, and I think 7 Pacific. Yeah, 7 Pacific where Ben is in Las Vegas. So catch Ben tonight, Face the Heels. Again, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Again, we hope you guys have enjoyed our program this evening. We will be back next Monday, of course, with another episode. So again, it's not the greatest job, mailman. I love my former coworkers, but the 10-hour days, wait till, okay. No, that's true. It can be a very grueling thing to deliver mail to people. Again, some of the mail carriers in our neighborhood, you see them all the time. They do look like they're laboring a little bit, that they've had a long day. But again, thank you all for watching. Thank you for sharing. We appreciate you guys commenting in the comments. Ben, you are, of course, welcome, my friend. No problem. Again, for, Delilah was watching, Ben was watching, Scott Thaler, Johnny Dean, Mr. Fingers, Anthony Handy. So thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. You know the guy on you're over there. It's that, Mr. Spencer, the one and only Sean Spencer, who is one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. Of course, that Janae Struther being the other half of that pairing. And I'm Nick Rosario. Thank you again for watching. I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey there, ladies and gents. It's your local handyman, Anton Bennett, here to help you with your problems. I'm here right now on the job site, taking out whole kitchen cabinets. A little bit more work to do, but if you got a project at your house that you need to get completed, I'm your guy to finish it up for you. Give me a call, let me know what you need to get done.
Your new company, man. Shout out to your new company. Go ahead and tell the world about your new company real quick.
Oh boy. So marketing, Anton Benton Pros.
Yes.
Doing everything from plumbing to electrical to making huge decks to doing closets.
Yes.
Doing it all.
That's what's up, man. I'm super happy
Thank
for
you guys. Thank you.
you